On the morning of February 9th, 2024, police in Baldwin Borough, Pennsylvania, were called to an apartment on Young Ridge Drive. Inside, they uncovered a scene that raised more questions than answers. A 20-year-old woman, known to family and friends as Remy Griffin, was found lifeless. The circumstances suggested not just an act of violence, but one carried out with extreme intent. Remy was not living alone. In the apartment with her was her 1-year-old daughter. The child was unharmed, but the placement of events inside that residence forces anyone examining this case to ask, why was one life taken and another spared? Investigators immediately faced the task of reconstructing the final moments before the shots rang out. Multiple gunshots had been fired, a sign that whoever committed this crime was not acting by chance. The number of shots raised suspicions of personal motive, anger, or a deliberate message. Yet at the same time, evidence left behind pointed in a clear direction. The story did not end with discovery. Within days, law enforcement identified a suspect with direct ties to the victim. But even with an arrest, questions linger. What circumstances led to this violent encounter inside a private home? Was this tragedy preventable? What clues existed before the crime that could have signaled danger? If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Uncovered, where we examine the cases that shake communities and expose what happens behind closed doors. Real stories, real people, real impact. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Remy Griffin, widely known by her nickname Remy, was 20 years old at the time of her death. She was a graduate of St. Rocks High School in Pennsylvania. Those who knew her described her as creative, active, and strongly connected to her family. In her early adulthood, Remy was navigating the challenges of raising her 1-year-old daughter. Motherhood at such a young age required balance between caring for her child and building her own independent life. Family members reported that she took her role as a mother seriously and prioritized her child's well-being. Her daily life reflected a young woman focused on family, stability, and the responsibilities that come with raising a child. Yet, beneath these realities, questions remain. What do we really know about the life she was living before tragedy struck? How do the roles of a young mother intersect with risks in personal relationships? At the time leading up to the incident, Remy was living in an apartment complex on Young Ridge Drive in Baldwin Borough, Pennsylvania. She shared a connection with 22-year-old Adil Natongwa, the father of her child. Their relationship history placed him in close proximity to her personal life and responsibilities. Reports suggest there may have been prior conflicts within their relationship. Family and community members pointed to tensions and difficulties, though full details remain limited in public records. These possible red flags become significant when analyzing the circumstances surrounding her death. Were there warning signs that could have predicted the outcome? On February 9th, 2024, events unfolded inside Remy's Baldwin Borough apartment. Law enforcement was called to the scene following reports of gunfire. Upon arrival, police discovered Remy deceased inside the residence. She had suffered multiple gunshot wounds, with reports indicating as many as 12 shots. The level of violence suggested a targeted act rather than random aggression. Inside the apartment, officers also located her 1-year-old child. The child was unharmed and found in another room. This detail leaves critical questions for consideration. Why would such extreme violence be used against the victim? What does the survival of the child suggest about the suspect's intent? The Baldwin police initiated their investigation immediately. The initial response involved securing the crime scene and collecting evidence. Crime scene findings confirmed the high number of gunshots. Reports indicated the weapon used had not been immediately recovered. Investigators worked with witness accounts and available surveillance footage in the surrounding area. Phone records and digital evidence reportedly supported the identification of the suspect. Within days, law enforcement identified a clear lead pointing to an individual closely tied to the victim. How did investigators narrow down the focus so quickly? Investigators identified 22-year-old Adil Natongwa, the father of Remy's child, as the primary suspect. He was arrested and charged with two major offenses: criminal homicide, endangering the welfare of a child. Authorities tracked his whereabouts, located him, and took him into custody. His relationship with the victim was a central factor in establishing motive and opportunity. What role did the relationship between suspect and victim play in this case? Following the arrest, a criminal complaint was filed against Adil Natongwa. The complaint outlined the evidence collected at the crime scene, as well as supporting investigative material that linked him to the homicide. Court filings included accounts of the number of shots fired, witness information, and the presence of the child at the scene. Prosecutors emphasized the seriousness of the crime due to the violent nature of the act and the endangerment of the child. Statements from both prosecution and defense began shaping the legal process. The prosecution pursued charges of homicide and child endangerment, while the defense had yet to present a full response. Potential trial dates or plea discussions were under consideration. This presents another question. What kind of defense could be made in a case involving so many gunshots? The death of Remy drew a strong response from family members and the local community. A vigil was held at the STO Rocks High School football field, where Remy had once been a student. Attendees gathered in large numbers, releasing balloons and offering tributes to her memory. Her sister, Ramiah, took on an immediate role of responsibility. She declared guardianship over Remy's daughter and expressed her commitment to ensuring that the child would grow up with knowledge of her mother. The family expressed grief but also called for justice in the case. The community response reflected widespread support and mourning. Many spoke about the impact of losing a young mother in such violent circumstances. How does a community begin to recover after such a public tragedy? The case highlights broader issues beyond the specific details of the crime. Domestic violence patterns often place young mothers at risk. The involvement of firearms and intimate partner violence further raises concerns about accessibility and use of deadly weapons in domestic disputes. Questions remain about whether there were systemic failures or missed opportunities for prevention. Were there prior indications of danger that went unreported or unaddressed? Could this tragedy have been avoided through earlier intervention or support systems? Could this have been prevented with earlier intervention? What warning signs are too often ignored? At present, the suspect remains in custody awaiting trial. The criminal proceedings will determine the legal outcome. Remy's legacy remains tied to a community that remembers her as a creative, active young woman and a dedicated mother. Her daughter, now in the care of family, represents a continuation of her memory. What does justice look like in a case like this? What lessons can others learn from the darkness revealed in this story? If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.